Okay, hi. So today I'm going to be doing the I am so annoyed booktube tag. So this tag was originally created by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, and it was inspired by a video made by Melinda at A Web of Stories, so I'll link those both below. And then I was tagged by two individuals. I was tagged by Erin at Erin Read a Book or Erin Read a Book, and I was tagged by Adia at Novel Idea. So all those will be linked below. But I am excited to give my opinions on some of these things, so we'll just get right into it. So the first question, do publishers ever do things that you find annoying? Yes, they do. One of the main things is changing, because I have another answer to this that I'm going to talk about in a later question, but one of the things is changing their logo and their logo placement and their logo size on the binding. So, okay, we're going to take you to my shelf. So look at that, okay? Look at this. Why? This is all the same series, and that's an annoyance of this, but also, like, what is this? Why are these, this is the same size book, okay? See, they are, except for the tall one, they're not even all the same size. Okay, another grievance, but the other ones are all the same size. Tell me why they can't get their logo in the same spot on each of these. Like, why are they different? Why are they different lengths? Why is the name completely different size on all of them? Like, what inspires you to do this? I know that you could, okay, let's see. I know that Tor has enough money to get a mock-up made. And I know that they have these books on hand and can compare them. So why are they not doing that? Why? Okay, question 2. Have you ever been annoyed by a spoiler, even something as simple as someone else telling you there's a great plot twist? Sometimes. So I generally speaking don't read the back of books because they give away way too much of the plot. I think that's annoying because I think that, again, with this problem, this is something that they're paying someone to do. Publishers have enough money to be able to pay someone to write a better synopsis. I understand that some people want to know more, but from my understanding, that's at least with the individuals that I interact with and watch, that's not generally the large consensus. So who are you writing this for if you're not writing it for readers? The other thing that annoys me is when, and this is, I think, on the bookish internet, is when someone doesn't warn you that they're getting into spoiler territory. And I don't mean there's a really good plot twist. I don't think that's a spoiler. When you're reading a thriller and someone says there's a really good plot twist, well, duh. Like, there's going to be a plot twist. You're reading a spoiler. You expect there to be one, and you would hope that it's going to be good. But I mean, like, more, they give away plot points that occur later in a book without warning so people can jump away from the book. Because for the most part, I just want to know very general things about a book, and that's the type of booktubers that I like to follow. I prefer to hear that the relationships were well constructed and the thematic content was handled well, rather than you kind of tell me like the specific notions of what occurs in the book. I could understand by a general synopsis if I'm going to like it or not. Number 3, have you ever been annoyed by what you discovered in a free little library, a book sale, or used bookstore? Tell us about what you found and why it was so annoying. So I'm generally not annoyed by anything like that. I buy most of my books used, and I'll let this go by. I buy most of my books used, and when you buy your books used, you're making a decision that you are going to take ownership of something someone else already owned. So that can mean it's in a worse condition, that can mean that someone wrote in it, and you have the option of not buying it and seeing if you could buy it somewhere else later without that. So like when I go to used bookstores or when I go to free little libraries, if it's like very annotated or has water damage, even if it's a book I want, I'm not as likely to pick it up because of that. But, you know, if you do buy it, I don't see how you could really complain about that. Question 4. When it comes to short story collections, are you annoyed if there's a novella in the middle of the collection? No, not at all. Although generally speaking, I feel like they put the novella at the beginning or the end of a short story collection, but that might just be a semantics thing. But not really. I prefer short stories a lot of the time to novellas. I think a lot of novellas suffer from being too in the middle. I think a short story, you're meant to not show a lot of things, and you can, you could create a sense of a story by the absences that you write. But when you get into a novella territory, it's like I almost expect them to write more, but then there's always something that's not there, and it feels like less, if that makes sense. Question 5, deckled edges, beautiful or annoying? I don't care. I would say that a majority of the books that I own don't have deckled edges. I'm not sure if that's by choice or if that's just what I've purchased used. But yeah, I generally don't care. They are more annoying to utilize, to turn the pages and stuff, but I don't think I would intentionally go out of my way to not buy a book with deckled edges. Okay, question 6. Other people's annotations in a used book or library book, annoying or are you okay with it? Okay, yeah, so if it's a library book, it's an absolute no. That is the library's property. You're defacing property that is not yours, and that is a shared resource, and so that's an absolute no for me. Used books, I'm not going to probably buy it, or I'm less likely to, but I don't really care that much. So, I generally get rid of a lot of the books that I read. So most books that I have on my shelves, I haven't read, and the ones that I've read, they're things that I think I might reread again. And I don't personally annotate any of my books. So part of that is because I don't really want to. But another part of it is that because I don't keep my books, I want to be able to sell them. So I bring them to my local used bookstore who will not accept anything with annotations. And so when I go there, I always know that I'm going to get a book that does not have annotations in it or people writing stuff in it because the book owner or the bookstore owner, puts intentionality into that. But sometimes I end up buying a book on accident that has it because I don't look through the book. And I'm a little annoyed when I get that. I'm a tad annoyed because I generally just there's a meta thing that you can do where you can look at someone's annotations, but this is gonna sound so conceited, but every time I've gotten that, the person seems dumb. They're just annotating inane things, and I'm like, what are we doing right now? Why did you annotate that sentence? What? And then the questions that they put, I don't know. I've had a few books in particular, and I probably would feel that way about things I annotated in college and think I was an idiot rereading that. So I guess I also fall into that category. Number 7, if there is a series or collection of a certain kind of books, like an imprint, and changes are made, are you annoyed or okay with it? If yes, give us an example. So I think you can tell by earlier, I'm annoyed with it. So I showed you that. Nonsense. That's a publisher thing because those book covers are very similar. But I will give you another example. because I have a few. Okay, so this is the Rain Wild series by Robin Hobb. What is this? You can tell which two are similar and which two are not. And the covers are also like that. You have the first two books in the series with dragons, and they are very fantasy-esque. And you're like, yes, that is a fantasy book, and it's being perceived, or it's showing like older fantasy vibes. And then you have these ones. What are we doing? What is this? And I looked at them a little bit more after that fiasco, and it looks like the publisher merged. So, as you can see, the first two have EOS or EOS, and the second two are Harper Voyager. So EOS was an imprint of HarperCollins, and then HarperCollins had a merger with Voyager, it looks like. I could be saying things wrong, but this is, Harper Voyager, an imprint of HarperCollins publisher. What? So they changed the imprint that they were using? Like blasphemy. What is this? These all came out within like a year of each other. Anyway, regardless of the situation, bad decision making. Very bad decision making. Now this one I'm less annoyed with, but more because of scarcity. So I collect the African Writers series that is an imprint of, or a collection made by Heinemann. And this is a collection that is no longer being written into. So I think the last one was written into about 2 decades ago. So, and a lot of the books in this collection are out of print. Like you can't find them except for their African Writer series publication. Some of them you can, but a lot of them you can't. So, but they kept changing it. So we have, the thing is though, I can typically tell based off of the spine that it's from the series just because I've bought a lot of them. So I can still find them in used bookstores. But this one is one of the closer ones. So you have the AWS, it's out of focus. You have the AWS at the top. Sorry, it's out of focus. And then you have this at the bottom. So different bottom, different color on top. And then you have this one that's completely different. Very different. This one actually has an NYRB reprint. And then you have this that doesn't even really indicate on the spine. Oh, I'm not going to get it. It's trying to focus on my face. Cover my face? Yeah. Okay. And then you have this, which doesn't even have it, like any similarities. Okay. And then you have these, which are more similar, but not the same. So you have, cover my face, you have this on top, kind of similar, and then you have these on bottom. I actually like this one the most because it numbered it and they did all get a number. But yeah, as you can see, different colors. Actually that one might be from the sun. It's hard to tell. But annoys me less, but I wouldn't put them all next to each other on a bookshelf because they all look different. But I think that if like something like NYRB or, here, let me get one of those. I know I have one. Here we go. Yeah, I think if something like NYRB, which has this, ooh, come on, this, it's trying so hard. If you had that and they changed that, I would be annoyed because it's just very classic and nice. And like if you change something like the penguin cloth bounds that people like riot in the streets. Um, okay, that's like kind of dramatic, but anyway, those were my gripes. I honestly went into this being like, I'm not going to be annoyed by these things, but it's me, and I'm very annoyed by a lot of things, but not in a way that it actually like really bothers me, but it's fun, you know? It's kind of fun to be annoyed and just kind of like vent about stuff. So, question 8, do the decisions of characters in a novel ever annoy you? Share the book and what decisions you found are annoying. So, yes, I would say yes. I like reading because I love seeing a variety of experiences, and I like reading books where the author or the characters are very unlike me. It gives me a sense of people without having to actually interact with them myself, because I don't like people that much. My social battery is like this big, and work takes up like this much of it. So I prefer getting my experience with others via books. So I read characters that annoy me. I think a really good example of a character that annoys me that I still like, and it doesn't make me dislike the book at all, is Fitz from The Realm of the Elderling. He is just kind of an idiot. He makes so many bad choices where you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what is this right now? He's extremely dramatic. Like, everything is drama to him. He is so morose about things. He gets so caught up in his feelings, and I'm not like that at all. And so I read it, and I'm like rolling my eyes, but in a way where it's like, I still like him as a character. But I can definitely get annoyed by characters, and I think Dia in her video made a good point of like, when motivations change a lot and it just doesn't really make sense. An example that really annoys me is when a character is supposed to be smart and keeps making dumb decisions. So I've ranted about this book many times on my channel, but Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, you're following a physicist who is like so smart that he's just figured out a way of like jumping between universes, and the guy is an idiot. And I was figuring out things before he was, and I was in a first-person perspective. And, like, that's just unforgivable to me. Like, he is supposed to be smart. He's supposed to be smarter than me. I shouldn't be figuring these things out before him. Okay, next question, 9. Are you ever annoyed by how someone organizes their books? What do you find annoying? People can organize their books however they want. What I find annoying is when a store organizes them wrong. So I love going to used bookstores. I was actually just on vacation, and that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm on vacation is go to used bookstores that I don't normally have access to. I feel like there's multiple bookish hobbies. There's the hobby of reading, there's the hobby of collecting, and there's, to me, this hobby of like sorting and organizing. And I do that in a number of ways. I do it with my shelves, and I do it with my spreadsheets. And my shelves are not super organized. So these ones are by color, and then this shelf right here is all my fantasy and sci-fi series for the most part, although I have some of them down there. I love how tons of people organize them differently. But when you are a seller, and the goal is to sell books, and you are organizing those books, I want them to be organized. Like, there are so many times where I am in a used bookstore and I have to restrain myself from reorganizing the shelves. Like, I was just in one, and I saw The Power by Naomi Alderman in the YA section, and I was like, no, that's literary fiction. Like, that was nominated for the Woman's Prize. Like, this is in the wrong spot. I saw The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon in the fiction section, and I was like, no, this is fantasy, and that needs to be moved. And I have these impulses to reorganize their shelves all the time. I was actually at one. It was actually the best one I went to. It had a ton of books. that I really wanted for very cheap, but it was super disorganized. Like, they had like the blinds down. I came in and they were like confused that I was there, and they're all eating lunch, and I'm like, am I allowed in here right now? And they're like, oh yeah, I guess, peruse. And they're like, it's a little messy. And then when I'm checking out, he told us that they're reorganizing their shelves by genre and then by like an order of author, because they had their entire store, all genres, nonfiction, reference guides, fiction, general fiction, everything, all organized together by author name. And he got so many complaints that he decided to reorganize his store. And I was like, that's probably a good call. You are relying on used books as your profits. So anyway, I will move on. Okay, 10. Share something bookish that you find annoying. Okay, there's a lot of things that I could talk about like what makes a book not well written, and that concept itself can be annoying. But instead, I'm going to talk about the one that I find annoying, that I think is most unhinged, and that is when I'm going to talk about two. The first one, like, I think both of these things are going to be unpopular opinions, which is why I want to share them. The first one is that I don't like reading books about readers. I don't want to read a book that takes place in a bookstore. I don't want to read a book where your protagonist loves books. It always annoys me. It's like the author just wanting to put themselves into the novel. That's how I feel. Like, it's just like, oh, I'm a reader and that's my hobby, so I'm going to write about a hobby, like a person who likes to read. And I'm like, yeah, that's why we're all here. Like, I get it. Like, that's uninteresting to me, and it's uninspired, and it annoys me. And I don't think that annoys a lot of people, but I, generally speaking, do not read books about books. And I, for the most part, don't like reader or my protagonist to be a reader. It's like if every single like movie you watched, the people were like really into movies, like the characters. Like, they don't do that because that would be boring. Like, I don't know. Unpopular opinion, I think. My second one, it's just kind of unhinged. I hate when an author puts a quote into the book by someone else that was like their inspiration. I don't care. Like, I do not care what inspired you to write this book. I never understand how the quote is literally relevant at all. And I skip them. I just think that, like, every time I'm listening to an audiobook and it plays it, I'm annoyed that I have to listen to it. I will always skip the quote. And I don't understand the point of them. And that is my most unhinged bookish opinion. Okay, so that was the whole tag. I think the last thing to do would be to tag people. Okay, let's tag Read Becca. And yeah, I'd like to see Becca get a little spicy if she wants to. Yeah, and that is all I got for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I always enjoy a good rant. It's always fun. And I hope you enjoy watching them. So until next time, happy reading.